And my lighting's bad and you keep getting this little shadow, so I apologize for that. So we are going to move into 1863 summer. Let's go ahead and bring in reinforcements. 8 more Union troops into Washington. Boy, that's going to get rough up there. We got 6 more and 4 more coming. I'm going to put 4 more right back into Cairo for the the Union. And then the other 6 I have here, interesting take now. Army of the Potomac's going to get resupplied. The Army of the Tennessee is in really good shape at 10. The Army of the Missouri is weak. I'm going to put these units up in Ohio. And what I'm going to plan to do is start making my way down with the Confederacy out here. I want to start taking over Tennessee and start really putting pressure. This coal underbelly's got no protection right now. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Confederacy is going to roll. Remember, they need a 6. So blockade zone 1, they got a 6. Unbelievable. We're going to put a unit right into New Orleans. We're going to go to East Coast blockade zone. Sorry. They got a 3, so they're going to lose 2 strategic will. We will go to South Atlantic. They rolled a 5. They're going to lose 2 more strategic will. And last port will be up in the North Atlantic. And they did get a 6. Wow, 50% success. That I'm going to call that a major win for the Confederacy, all things considered. So they lost 2 reinforcements. They have 9 units. A couple things to note. Once the Confederacy loses one of their original states, Arkansas is at risk. They will get 8 reinforcements. If they ever lose the Mississippi, the Union will get a strategic will bonus of 10, and the Confederates will lose 1 more reinforcement. The only thing currently protecting the Mississippi for the Confederacy is New Orleans, because I do have an ironclad in there, and they are preventing Union passage up and down. But if that ironclad gets knocked out of here and there's no other ironclad or fort to stop the flow of the river in the port spaces, I am basically going to lose the Mississippi. So we'll watch and see how that kind of occurs. So let's go ahead and put our reinforcements out. First one's going to go right into the Army of Northern Virginia, and that'll go up from 2 to 3. So we'll make that move. My second one's going to go right into North Carolina for 2. I'm going to put one right into South Carolina for 3, knowing damn well I'm going to try to get all those units up into Northern Virginia. So those 3 are done. I'm going to put one right in Mississippi, right into the Army of the West. So let's build him back up 1. We're going to put one in Tennessee with the Army of the Mississippi. So we'll move that guy up 1. You might say, why don't I resupply this unit up in Dover? And I'm in a fort, and I feel really good about that right now. We will put a unit in Alabama because I can't rail him in, but I can get him up there eventually. 3 more units left. We did Mississippi. We'll put another one in New Orleans. So I'll have 3 units in New Orleans with the addition of the ironclad. I really don't want to lose that. We'll go ahead and put another unit in Atlanta, Georgia. And my last unit, I will go ahead and put in, man, I got a lot of risk everywhere right here. I can go Florida. I'm going to go Texas, put a unit in Marshall, because I know the Confederacy is going to come down, a Union is going to come down here, and there's some risk involved with that. I'll put my units out. So again, with those 6 units sitting in Cincinnati, I want to put a leader up there to kind of get them on the move. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Meade in charge of that group. I'm going to put Reynolds. Reynolds is a 2 to activate, and he has a +1/+1. So a little bit better activation with that one. I did lose one of my generals in the Army of the Potomac, which is going to reduce my punching ability there, because I've only got Grant with 1 and Burnside with 1, because McClellan's a 0-2. So in that case, I am going to put Meade with the Army of the Potomac. I still don't have cavalry out there, which stinks a little bit, but it is what it is. I'm actually thinking now, without that cavalry, I don't think I was taking my -2 modifiers when I was attacking Virginia last turn. I'll go back, watch the video, and if that had any any implications to units, I will go ahead and adjust that if that did anything to the score there, because I don't think I did that when I attacked. And then I've got Hancock. Hancock is a 1/1, and where would I like to put him? I'm going to put him with Reynolds as well, in case I go ahead and make a second army out here in Cincinnati. Remember, I should be moving my troops before I put my generals on, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to move, the Army of the Potomac is sitting with 5. I'm going to start off by moving 6 units right into the Army of the Potomac. So that'll put them from 5 to 11, and that moves 6 units. So I got 9 left to move. I'm going to move the 4 up in Illinois down to the Army of the Missouri, and we're going to take them from 3 to 7. So that's 4 more moves. That'll take me, I've got 3 left to move. I've got this 1 unit in St. Louis, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to move them into Fremont's army down here. So Fremont will have 3 units again. 1, okay. I've got 2 moves left. So I'm going to take the 2 units I have that I just put into Washington again, and I will supply the Army of the Potomac and put them up to 13. So their moves will be done. Confederate moves, they've got 7. We're going to go ahead and move 1, 2, 3 into the Army of Northern Virginia. That'll put them from 3 to 6. I got 4 moves left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, I'm going to take this unit in Tuscumbia. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I can get them into the Army of the Mississippi, so I'll go ahead and do that. Move them from 5 to 6. I got 3 moves left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to take this unit in Marion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Move them up to Grenada. 2 left. I'm going to take the unit in Charleston and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 left. This unit in Atlanta is going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into the Army of the Mississippi and put them at 7. So I was able to get my armies a little bit bigger. Let's go ahead and put my generals out now. Oh boy, I'm not in the best shape here. Army of Northern Virginia can use a little bit more defense, knowing that definitely getting attacked there. So I'm gonna put Ewell with Joe Johnston. That'll give me a +1 defense on an attack. That leaves me AP Hill, and I'm going to put AP Hill with this stack in defense of New Orleans because I do not want to lose the Mississippi. Okay, and once those moves are done, the score is currently 80 for the Union to 71 for the Confederates. We will draw our cards of 7 and see what we come up with. First card for the Confederacy is a 1. It's the CSS Huntley. I can basically put them in a friendly port, and it provides a +1 during the next amphibious assault. So if I put them in New Orleans, if the Union tries to attack with the Navy, I don't think they will. The Union's probably going to try to want to come in with some troops not via the Navy. The Union's card is empty haversacks again. If you remember, that's going to prevent the movement of an army. Confederacy gets the CSS Arkansas, so they can get another ironclad on the game board. At this point of the game, I'm not crazy about that because I'd rather have points to move my units around and such. The Union's going to get another 1. Very low hand so far. Union gets a #1 event. That's Confederate. Confederate gets a 2 card, but it's Union, so they can't use the event. The Union gets a 2 card, but it's Confederate, so the Union can't use the event. This is a wacky hand draw here. Confederacy did finally get a 3 card, but it's a Union event. So they can't play the event, but they can use the 3 points to activate. While the Union got a Confederate 1 event. This is quite the wacky turn for a hand here. All right, we're at 4 at 4. We'll go back to the Confederacy. All right, they did get fortified lines. It is a Confederate event. They can use this for the event if they want. Basically, they may place up to 2 forts in any friendly controlled space. That's pretty cool for a 2.2 forts out. So that's something where you may want to go ahead and put a fort in Vicksburg in case, and then immediately that'll stop any threat coming. So you might want to say, okay, what do I do with that? Is you may want to leave a troop or two in New Orleans, let AP Hill take his troops up to Vicksburg, drop the fort in there, and then you can close the port here, and that might save the Mississippi for a while for the Confederacy. Really good card for them to get. The Union got War in the West. Either side can play this card. If the Union plays it, they basically can remove a random strategy card from the hand of the enemy. Confederacy got another #1 card. So there's not a lot of, it's a very low hand draw this turn. They've got 3 1 cards, 2 2 cards, and a 3 card so far. We'll go back to the Union. The Union got Personal Advisor. It is a 3 card. This card basically lets you remove or demote a general without paying the cost. I might use this card to potentially like bump McClellan out of the army, or I might even take Burnside out of the Army of the Tennessee because he's not giving me a plus bonus there when I go on the attack. And honestly, I'm all about attack right now, so I'll see if I play that to get rid of a general, not pay a penalty. All right, okay, the Confederacy finally got foreign intervention, but my lord, that is never going to trigger. So it's a little too late in the game for that. So for this to trigger, I have to have a strategic will of 110 or higher. This point in the game, there's no way I'm going to get that. I'm at 71. Basically, like the earlier card we played with, well, we played this before. So what's going to happen is if Confederates will have to hold this card unless the event triggers, and if the event doesn't trigger, then they can play it at the end of their turn for the points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last card will be for the Union, and the Union will get, it's a Commerce Raider. It's a 3 card, it's an event. It would have been a good way to reduce strategic will to the Union if the Confederacy had it, but they don't. The Union has it. So it's going to be a very interesting turn here. The Union's got basically 3 1 cards. They've got 2 2 cards and 2 3 cards. In the Confederacy, very similar. 3 1 cards, 2 2 cards, and 3 3 cards. And I look at the board here and I start to think of some strategies before I go off camera. I know I'm going to want to continue to pound the Army of Northern Virginia and take their capital. And that's going to get real close to being done. I'll check the modifiers. I'll go back and watch the last video and see if I missed something. I think I rolled 10s and greater than 10s in both battles. Like far exceeded the 10 on both battles. And I don't think the modifier would have done anything. But I will go check that. Like I said, I'll check that one more time on the video. But this turn is going to be interesting. I think the Union's going to just swamp right down here and start to take over Western Tennessee and start to pin the Union Army. They may even make an army out of Hancock's group right there. And you make an army, you come down. Now the Union's got all their armies on the board. And the middle of the country, there's nothing. There's nothing from basically west of Wilmington all the way through mid-Tennessee to Alabama. That's all wide open for the taking. And once this Union Army comes down here, the South is going to be, they've been having their smaller armies hold off these Union armies. But once this threat comes to their flank, they're going to have to pull something back here. Probably the Army of the Mississippi will try to hold on for a little bit, but definitely some challenges. The other thing to look at when you look at the board is the Army of the Tennessee could start to cut supply lines, which will bring the Union armies up and back. Because if you're running out of supply, you will not get reinforcements. You will take additional attrition penalties as well. So right now, the Union armies are in supply. And you know what? With the river, I think they're going to be fine either way, even if the Confederacy does that. So we'll see what happens. Another tactic you might want to do here with the Confederacy is actually, before you take the attack, potentially pull back, let the Union come after you, then detach a cavalry and try to cut their supply lines. Maybe a small force to sneak off and try to, kind of like in the Civil War, in actuality when I think it was early, Yule early. I got to double check my memory on that one. They tried to put some pressure on the Capitol up through Washington D.C. here late in the war. Didn't work out. They got whooped pretty bad and sent back, but it was a way to threaten the Capitol and maybe pull some forces back. So we'll see what happens when we come back to the table, and that will be shortly. Thank you. Okay, I checked the video, and we're all good. So I would have lost one more SSP. I would have saved one more SSP as the Army of Northern Virginia, but they would have lost it in the attrition round. And because I rolled a 1, the general casualty still applied. So I think we're all good there. So we'll go ahead first with the Confederacy, with the Union. And right off the bat, I'm going to play this 2-card Confederate Scientist. Would have been great in the Confederate hands because it added 3 SPs to the board that they can desperately use. But I'm going to use it to create an army up here in Cincinnati. And that's going to put 6 units in that army. So I'll take the 6 off. This will be the Army of the Army of the Cumberland. So we'll put them up in Ohio. We'll put the SPs on 6. We are going to put, in this case, Reynolds is going to, they're both equally bad generals. Not bad, they're good generals. They just don't have high political ratings. So they're actually the same. So in this case, I'll put Reynolds in command. Second in command will be Hancock. I do have Fremont on the board again, so that's going to give me a 2S strategic will penalty, which will actually be a 5 penalty because I'm on the positive. So that's going to drop me back down to 75. So the score is 75-71 at this point, and it'll turn over to the Confederacy. The Confederacy is going to play the 1-card Union event to basically get this unit up into Virginia, Army of Northern Virginia, and we'll raise him up to 7 units. We'll come back down to the Union again. Union's going to play a 2-card. They're going to play this War in the West card. I'm not worried about Confederate cards at this point. I'll play it for the points. I'll move the Army of the Cumberland down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into Clinton and convert it. And then from Clinton, I will move down into Crossville and start to really put some pressure on the Confederacy on this side. So that'll move us back to the Confederacy. And let's see what we want to do. We got the Army of the Tennessee holding that fort up there. But I was thinking about detaching cavalry, and it may be good to do that. So let's do that. Let's learn how that works. I am going to spend a 1 card to detach Forrest. We're going to let him go. He is a 3, but he's a really good cavalry unit. And he's going to leave the Army of the Tennessee. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to Falmouth. And I'll show you how that's going to work in a minute. We'll go back to the Union. All right. All right, the Union's going to hit the Army of Northern Virginia again. So we're going to play a 1 card just for the event. We're going to roll the dice. And we got a 4 for the Confederacy. Oh, no, and a 1 for the Union. So that's going to be in the Confederates' favor there. So again, the Confederacy is going to get 4, plus 2 for Johnson is 6, plus 2 for Stewart is 8, plus 1 for Ewell is 9, plus 2 for the fort. So that's going to be max losses. They're currently sitting with an army of 13 against an army of 7. That's 20. That will be a large battle. So max losses on a large battle, as a reminder, is going to be 6 losses. So they're going to go from 13 to 7. Grant rolled a 1. He has to lose 2 because he doesn't have cavalry, so that's a 2. Plus he can use 2 other generals. That's going to give him a 4, and a 4 is going to be 3 casualties to the Army of Northern Virginia. 1, 2, 3. The win does go to the Confederacy. So the Confederacy is going to pick up 3 SPs, 1, 2, 3, and then plus 2 for reversal of fortune in war. And they're going to be sitting at a 76, whereas the Union is going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're now sitting at a 70. Much like the Civil War, Grant keeps throwing his troops on. He's losing the battles, but he's winning the battle of attrition right now because the next attack, he's sitting with a 7 versus 4, and if he rolls a little bit better, again, that's going to be in favor of the Confederacy, of the Union. So now we got to roll for a general casualty. Again, if I roll a 1, both sides will lose a general because the Confederacy rolled higher than a 10. The Union did not. If I roll a 1, both sides do. If it's a 2-3, then it's just the Confederates. And I rolled a 2, so the Confederates are going to lose another general in the battle. 4, 1, 2, oh, they're going to lose Ewell. We just brought him in the game, and he just died. So Ewell is out. So very costly. That's also a plus modifier for the Confederacy. That's their second general who has not made it through the war. We'll go back to the Confederates out in this section. I know I got that card here, so I want to do some cool stuff. I'm going to take the CSS. Ooh, I like that card too. I'm going to take the Great Sioux Uprising for 2, and I'm going to release 2 units. I'm going to play it for the points. I'm going to take 2 units out of New Orleans and basically move them up 1, 2, 3, 4 into Vicksburg. Because remember, I know what I've got sitting behind me with that fort card. We go back to the Union. Union's going to go in again with Grant. They're going to continue to apply the pressure, and they really want to just get that capital knocked out. Okay, this is a better roll for Grant. So we got a 5 for the Confederacy. Again, this is no longer a large battle. It'll be medium. 5, 6, 7 for Johnson, 8, 9 for Stewart, and then 10, 11 for the fort. So max damage right away. That's going to be we're on medium now. So that'll be 3 losses. So we'll go 7 to 4. The Union also rolled a 5. They only get 1 for Grant because he doesn't have a cavalry. That's 6. 1 for Rosecrans, 7, and 1 for 8 Meade. And an 8 on a medium battle is 2 casualties for the Army of Northern Virginia, 1, 2. So they're down to 2 units again. We're going to roll the dice again. Let's do the strategic will. It's another loss. So we're going to lose 5 more points. So the Union's going to go down to 65. The Confederacy is going to go up 2 more. Interesting, 15 more points with that election coming in fall. Taking that capital is going to be huge. All right, let's see if we lose a general again. I rolled a 3, so it'll just be the Confederates, and they're going to lose Jeb Stuart. So there's another casualty in the war. So the Army of Northern Virginia is now stuck only with Joe Johnston. They lost a lot of modifiers, so they're holding off, but these victories are absolutely costly. We'll go back to the Confederacy now. Oof. I'm going to play boy. I wanted to save the Arkansas to put her into play, but it's not going to help me. So I'm going to play a 1 card to let me move my generals around the board. Basically, as long as they're in supply to each other, they pretty much have unlimited movement. And I'm going to go ahead and take from the Army of the West. 1, 2. Oh my gosh. The Army of the Missouri. No, the Army of the West can make it. So we'll go ahead and we'll take, yike. I'm going to take from the Army of the Mississippi. I'm going to take Jackson. And I am going to bring him all the way to the Army of Virginia and put him back with Johnson. So I'm going to weaken one army, but I think that's the best thing I can do. You can move all the generals you can, so I'm going to make those moves right now. I'm going to go ahead and take... I'm going to take Smith. No, I'm going to take Price. I'll take Pemberton. I'm going to move him over to the Army of Northern Virginia as well. Yeah, and I think that's basically all I can do here. And then I'll take Smith, and I will bring Smith down into Vicksburg. I will double check if I move the generals the right way. I believe you can move as many as you want as long as places are in support of each other. You can make that move. Again, I will go ahead and double check that. Okay, so I did check. We're good. As long as you move by rail, it's unlimited, and everybody had rail spaces to move, so I checked that and I'm fine. The other thing I had to do was when Forrest detached from the Army of Tennessee, remember he did have 2 SPs with him, so that's when you take his general counter and you remove that, and you put his cavalry unit on the board, which is going to be right here. Remember, I play with the 2 rule, so he is going to take 2 SPs with him. I'm going to let him just take 1 because I think the Army needs it more. So this will replace it with I think you can see that there. Hopefully you can. So this will go into Falmouth. And then because he took 1 point with him, I have to reduce the Army of the Tennessee from a 4 to 3. Okay, now we're straight and we're good. And the turn goes back to after the generals have moved. We did that. The Confederacy played their, they played their 1 card to move their generals around. It goes back to the Union. So I'm out of supply up here because of Forrest. So one thing I might want to do with the Army of Cumberland is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, make my way to Tennessee. But then I just reversed everything I was trying to do here. Otherwise, they're going to take some heavy attrition and can't get supplies due to Forrest cavalry. So I'll have to I'll take a thought about what I want to do there. The other thing I can do is, do I take the Army of the, which army would I want to activate? Army of the Missouri is actually a better attacking force. So I can go ahead and potentially take them and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and get into position to hit the Army of the Tennessee from the backside, and try to finish them off, and put a threat on them. And I can also do that with the Army of the Cumberland, 1, 2, but I might get intercepted by the Army of the Mississippi. No, I can't even get intercepted by them. So that's actually the move I'm going to make. So I'm going to go ahead and play that 3 card. It's an event. And I'm going to take, you know what, Forrest wants to cut my supply. That's fine. I'm going to go from Crossville to Mackenzie 2, McMinnville 2 to Tullahoma 3, Shelbyville 4, Franklin 5, and then an attack into the Army of the Tennessee here at this fort. I'm going to be attacking at a supply, so I'm going to get a -2 modifier to that attack. Yike. Do I want to do that now that I think about that? Because the Army of the Tennessee does have cavalry. They've got everything. So I'm going to come back. I don't like that right now. Okay, the other option I can do is go 1, 2 and convert that space to Union. So let's do that. Let's convert the space I'm in for 1, 2, 3 to convert McKinnville. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and convert Tullahoma. Now again, because Forrest hasn't cut my supply yet, I still have supply. And now I'll attack the Army of the Mississippi. The Army of the Mississippi cannot retreat because they don't have cavalry, and their general has no defensive rating. That's going to suck. So we will have an attack here. There's no way to intercept them. So let's go ahead and roll it out. A 3 and a 1. The size of this battle, the Army of the Cumberland is sitting with 6. The Army of the Mississippi is sitting with 7. So the Army of the Mississippi is actually the stronger army here. Very, very interesting. They rolled a 1. They have Van Dorn as their leader, who does not have a defense, but they do have Longstreet, which will give them a +3. So that's going to be a 4 result on a medium battle, and that's going to be 1 casualty to the Army of the Cumberland. So they'll go from 6 to 5. The Army of the Cumberland rolled a 3. They have +1 for Reynolds and +1 for Hancock. So that's going to be a 5, and a 5 result is going to be 1 casualty. So they're going to fall back into Tullahoma. Not really, man, I was hoping to do a lot more damage there. But the Army of Mississippi was pretty tough. So we'll go back to the south here. The South is going to play their 2 forts absolutely with this card. And we're going to go ahead and put a fort in Vicksburg. And that's going to create a problem because now I'm going to also put a fort in Port Hudson. And there's no way for the Union. The Union can run the guns to get to this fort, but I'm okay with that right now. If they want to spend their time doing that, I'm okay. I just put 2 more forts on the Mississippi, very well protected, and I feel really, really good about that. We'll go back to the Union. All right, they're going to play their 3 card. Man, I'd love to get the Army of the Tennessee. All right, I'm going to take the Army of the Cumberland with that 3 card. And I didn't want to do this, but I want to get back into supply. So I'm going to go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and convert Pittsburgh Landing to Confederate, to Union. And I'm going to pull all the way back into Lexington. This way I will be in supply and I can get reinforcements. And because that move by Forrest actually hurt me big time. Confederates are going to play a 3 card. It's an event for the Union. Let me look and make sure I'm not going to lose Tennessee here. So Tennessee is going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, Tennessee is going to last a little bit longer. Okay, I'm trying to think of what I want to do with that 3 card. And well, I just bolstered my defense down here, so I'm going to take these 3 units in Marshall. Yeah, I'm gonna do something a little crazy. I'm gonna take Kirby Smith because I've got the fort here and cross 1, 2, 3, honor Marshall, and then for Marshall 4, 5, 6 to help protect Arkansas. I'm gonna try to hold on and actually do something a little bit decent out here. I hope that's a good move. We'll see. So yeah, we'll do that. I could intercept that or stop that move with my empty haversacks, but instead the Union's going to go for it, man. They're going to spend their 1 card, and they're going to do 1 more attack on Virginia. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move back 1, 2, 3 to pick up these 2 units, come back 4, 5, and when I'm coming back, the Confederacy is going to attempt to intercept me. So, and why that's a good move for the Confederacy is if they intercept me and we do that battle right there, and I retreat, I can fall back into the capital. But for me to intercept, I don't have a cavalry. I need a 1 or a 2. They got a 3. Interception fails. So the Union's going to move. Again, they went 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, picked up their units, 4, 5. Oh, then I can't attack if I do that, because I can only move 6 spaces. So I will not pick up the 2 units. Let's go ahead and move that back from 6 to 4. Let's put those 2 units back up in the capital. I can go to Fort Monroe and grab that unit and come back, and I will do that. And I'll keep the interception failed roll. So I'll go 4 to 5. So I've got 5 units facing off against 2 units. Not a 3-to-1 advantage, which I was hoping for. So let's go ahead and roll the dice. Okay, 2 4s. So we'll go Confederacy first. 4 plus Johnson's is 6. Plus Jackson is 7, 8, 9. And then with the fort in Pemberton, that's a 10. Max loss on a medium is going to be 3 losses for the Army of the Potomac. So they will go from a 5 to a 2. Army of the Potomac rolled a 4. There's no more cavalry. That's big because now I'll get Grant's full bonus. That's a 7, 8 for Rosecrans, and 9 for Meade. And a 9 result on a medium battle will be 2 losses, and that will destroy the Army of Northern Virginia. Wow. That was pretty damn big. So, oof. Oh, I was hoping to get out of there with 1 unit. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. All right, so let's talk about what's going to happen now. Even though, oof. Oh, that's just so terrible. Okay. A couple of things I have to check here. In case of ties, which was not the case, it's not a tie. They're going to lose 2. So what I'm looking at right here is basically Grant inflicted 2 casualties. The Confederates inflicted 3. Okay, 3 casualties beats a 2, and in that case, the winner is the defender. But in this case, the Confederacy lost all of their units. And I think when you lose all of your units at the end of a battle, give me a second. I'm going to check this. I might edit this out and come back later. Okay, I checked the rule on that. And the way I understand it, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. The attacker lost, but because the defender was eliminated, normally the attacker can win and occupy the space. But in this case, because there's a fort there, and that's going to prevent that from occurring, so they cannot occupy the space, but the army is eliminated. And with the elimination of the army, first of all, I rolled to see if they had a casualty in that battle. They did. Another casualty in the battle. They're going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, they're going to lose, Stonewall Jackson. Yike. So Johnson and Pemberton will go on the track. They'll be able to come into the fall of next turn. I rolled a 3. The Union did not have to worry about that because they did not roll higher than a 10. The second thing that happens is we're going to have some point swings here. So when an army is destroyed, like it just was here, the Confederacy is going to lose 5 more strategic will. So they'll go from a 78 to a 73 and then take a 3-point reduction because they're on the positive side to move to negative, and they will sit with a 70. Big loss, and boy, the capital is now wide open, and I have no way to get an army there. The best I can do next turn is put a unit there. But gosh, that capital's in trouble. There's going to be a big loss there. So I've got a 3 card left. Foreign intervention is not going to occur. The Union will go ahead and, the Confederacy will go ahead and play that. Boy, do I create the Army of the Northern Virginia out here with Smith right now. 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 units. I can put Smith in command of that and get an army back on the board out here right away. Wow, that was brutal. Absolutely brutal. So I move the Army of Tennessee. I'd like to get them on the attack, but they've only got 3 units. And they're holding on to that fort. They're not very, very strong. I'm looking at something I could do potentially with Forrest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh. All right, we're gonna do a crazy move with Forrest. This is so I'm looking at my options, right? And as I look at my options, I'm looking at, do I create an army out here with Smith? Now I've got all my armies out here, and this part's dead. I want to prevent the Army of the Potomac from getting stronger and getting units here, because they are down to 2 units, and I actually can get units to that fort next turn. So how can I prevent reinforcements next turn from going to Army of the Potomac? Because right now they have got, they can still, they can't get reinforcements. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Forrest and go to Cincinnati, Ohio for 1, Washington 2, Jackson 3. They'll go to West Virginia for 4, down to Charleston, West Virginia for 5, Lewisburg for 6, Franklin for 7, Strasburg for 8, Culpeper for 9. They're going to go in now. They can go into the, am I counting that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's go a different way. up to Cincinnati for 1, Washington for 2, Jackson for 3, Parkersburg for 4, Grafton for 5, Franklin for 6, Strasburg for 7, Manassas for 8. And I'll show you why that's a really good move in a moment. What I do with that American flag. I just moved it and I don't know where the heck I put it. It's on here somewhere. We'll come back to it. Was that it? That might have been it. I'll come back and check that. That flag is there. So what will happen at the end of the turn, the first thing we'll do is convert spaces. So the Army of the Cumberland is now back in supply. They were able to get back to a supply source. So they will not forage, and they will be able to get reinforcements if needed down to them. We come up here. The capital is held with basically a fort. Forrest, because at this point, can flip. If it's a Confederate state, they can basically remove the Union marker there. And that's going to be big, because by doing so, the Army of the Potomac is now out of supply. They can't get a supply source up to Washington, and they can't get a supply source down to Monroe because they don't own this space. When I go back to it now and think about it, last turn I should probably have moved 1, converted for 2, 3, picked up the unit, 4, 5, and then made my attack. I didn't do that, and that's a mistake, and you can see how that mistake's going to be costly, because Bedford Forrest, I mean, he just basically broke away from the Army of the Tennessee and rode night and day with his force up to Cincinnati to block resources. Basically, his scouts told him that the Army of the Cumberland cut loose and resupplied on the Mississippi. And he's like, all right. And somehow he heard news of Richmond, and he rode night and day relentlessly to come in the backside and cut off supply there, which is going to be huge. And we'll see what that's going to do now when we go ahead and do the reinforcement phase. So let's take a moment, and we did the political change capital segment, political control, implement war weariness, which doesn't happen this turn. And now we'll do attrition. So let's see how this works. Army of the Tennessee will go from 3 to 2. Mississippi will go 6 to 5. Army of the West, 6 to 5. This stack of units is going to lose a guy because I have too many there. That stack is fine. So we lost 1 Confederate to attrition up there. Everywhere else, they look good. So we'll take him off. Union armies. The Union Army of the Potomac can't lose any because they're at 2. So even though I cut their supplies, normally they'd lose 1 from attrition and then lose 1 more, but they're at the most minimal they can be. So nothing happens there. And you might say, okay, well, was it worth it? Well, hell yeah, because when reinforcements come in next turn, the Union can't get them to the Army of the Potomac, which is going to save the capital, at least for a little bit. Army of the Cumberland will lose 1 from 4 to 3. The Army of the Mississippi will go 7 to 5. And the Army of the Tennessee will go 10 to 8. The Confederates so far have lost 4 generals. They've lost Stewart, their cavalry, Ewell, Beauregard, and Jackson. And the Union has only lost McDowell to this point. Next turn, we are going to take 5 more hit on the strategic will for the Union, which is very dangerous because that's going to take them 65 to 60, 10 points away from the end of their for losing the election. I'm wrong. I still got all of 1864 for that to happen, so they'll gain some points back there. Tennessee is close to falling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 10 spots are taken in Tennessee. Once Tennessee falls, the Union will get 10. The Union will not get 10 strategic will points. The Confederacy will lose. Am I doing that right? Yep. The Confederacy will lose 10 points. So the Union is close to losing an election here. What's going to be a saving grace for them is if they can take the Confederate capital. No, the Confederacy will just lose 15 more from that. Well, this game's a lot closer, actually, now that I think about it, because the Union really can't afford to lose So we got to see how can the Union get some strategic will back. Winning battles, +10 if they can take the control of the Mississippi. They can get 5 in West Virginia by taking that over. Yeah, this is going to be tough, guys. This is going to be really tough. They want to hold off to 50 or knock the Confederacy out of the battle. Confederacy's sitting at 70, and the Union's sitting at 65. I can see the capital falling potentially next turn. If the capital does fall, the Forest is a tough force up there, man. That's an interesting move right there. Very, very interesting move there. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, we'll be back, and we will move into the fall of 1863. There'll be at the end of that turn, there'll be another 5 strategic will penalty on the Union, which is getting them really close to 50. So we'll see what happens there. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.